The Team Never Quit podcast is sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. You can put your money to work by automating your savings and investments. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/save and invest. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. We have a great guest in store for you guys, but he needs no introduction. Governor Perry, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, man, it's good to be here. Thank you. Good to be across the table here with the Luttrell Boys. And you know, one of the fascinating things from time to time, what's it been, Marcus? Now we're working on 16 years of getting thrown together, and God's got a great way of you know, kind of rounding you up from time to time and sticking you in a particular situation. And boy, if that wasn't the case with us and where it's led us and the things that we've been able to do together and frankly where we just find ourselves today. And you know, I think back, this would have been the end of July of 2006, about a year after the actual events with Red Wing.
That's right.
Back in Operation Red Wings. So my wife made me go on vacation, which I don't, you know, I got ADD pretty bad. So vacation, after 3 days, man, I'm like climbing the walls and I don't do vacations. So she said, yeah, I'm taking you to this place. And she said, you're going to love it. It's right outside of San Diego on Coronado Island. There's this old hotel called the Hotel Del. And I'm kind of like, oh, great, man. We're going to go stay 4 days in an old hotel on a beach, and I'm going to be absolutely pulling my hair out before that's over with, right? And anyway, we go, and cool old hotel. It's really fascinating old hotel, and we get there. And but let me back it up. So the security detail goes out a few days ahead of time, right?
Yeah,
so
this part's crazy.
Yeah, this is the part about, you know, God's kind of like, okay, dude, I'm going to put you together.
Start something real small.
Yeah.
Line this out. Yeah.
Real small.
Yeah. And the security detail goes out to do their advance work. And they're, I think, planning on meeting California Highway Patrol. So you always coordinate with the state that you're going to. And they're on Orange Boulevard at a little breakfast nook. And the head of the detail sees a guy who's sitting in there, kind of buff guy with slicked off hair, kind of looks like a law enforcement person, just, you know, totally profiling there. But and so they introduce themselves to each other, and my guy says to this other fella, are you here for the governor's visit? And this big fella with the slicked off haircut says, what governor are you talking about? He says, well, Governor Perry from Texas is coming out here. He said, nope, but he said, I vote for him every chance I get. Well, this guy happens to be a Naval Academy grad, a F-18 pilot. He has been assigned or volunteered to SEAL Team 5 as a JTAC to be able to go outside the wire with the SEAL teams and
drop bombs for us.
Well, basically, you know, manage your aviation assets up in the air so that you got a real live pilot down there doing the work. Yeah. Really cool job and quite an interesting guy. That's a whole nother story on its side, who that fellow was and where he's ended up in the world. Right. But anyway, he gives a card to the security detail leader and says, hey, if the governor would like to come get a tour of the Special Warfare Center, here's my card. Have him call me. Well, we show up the next day, I think, which is like Thursday evening maybe, and detail gives the card. I look at it and I go, great, man, this is perfect. Get me off the beach where I don't have to go do the vacation thing. Go get a tour of the Naval Special Warfare Center, which is just right there, just south of the Hotel Del. Next door neighbors, yeah. And anyway, we go get in the hotel, look at the card. I give him a call and introduce himself. His name is Jake Elsey, Lieutenant Commander Jake Elsey. He says, love to give you a tour. And I was like, great, that's awesome. I'd I'm intrigued with that. And I think it was Saturday morning, right, Marcus?
It was.
On a Saturday morning. And the way I understand it, Jake goes into the enlisted quarters and goes, hey, anybody want to give a VIP tour? And, of course, everybody shot him the finger and gave him the high sign. It's kind of like, get out of here, man. It's Saturday. It's our day off. He said, well, it's the governor of Texas. Marcus says, I'll go, Texas boy. Anyway, long story short, we show up about 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's my wife. I think Sydney was Sydney on that trip? No, Sydney wasn't on the trip. It's just Nita and myself and one other guy that was traveling with us. And one of the more fascinating tours I've taken in a long time. I ain't gonna lie to you. It is a really interesting place. Took us about, 2 hours. We go through. End of the tour, we're back at the front gate, fixing to go back to the hotel, and Commander Elzy says, I'm not even sure I could have told him I could have told people what your last name was. Right. But Jake said, did Marcus tell you where he was last weekend? And I was kind of like, no. He said, yes, sir, once, and no, sir, once. Other than that, he's just a big old, tall, gangly kid with his camis on who's very polite, doesn't say anything, helps guide the tour. Jake says, well, he was at the White House receiving the Navy Cross. Well, I know what the Navy Cross is. And we go on about our business. We invite you guys to have dinner that night at a little restaurant there at Coronado. And just to say, thanks and appreciate your time. And I go back to the hotel room and get on my computer, and I look up this kid, Marcus Luttrell. Nothing. I mean, I think on about the 5th page I'm searching, I find your name on a list of about 30 people on some kind of nondescript award that you've gotten. I'm kind of like, well, that's kind of weird. And then I remembered the Operation Red Wings was mentioned in some passing. I put that in, and the computer literally blew up. Read the story, then I start putting together who this kid is. And what a fascinating story, unbeknownst to me, was I was fixing to completely change the trajectory of my life. So anyway, that's we go to dinner. And if you'll remember, the guy that was with us was just wearing you out.
He was, man.
I mean, he was asking you a lot of really hard stuff.
It's my first. It's like first tour.
Yeah,
from the press and everything. And I remember that he was making me laugh too. I remember Nene was getting kind of upset about it, but yeah.
And Anita, who's there with us, and this gentleman, who's a friend of ours, would just leave his name to be anonymous at this particular point.
No, it's all good. Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, he's kind of like, it was down to the point. It's like, well, did you kill any of them with your hands? I mean, did you kill them with? What'd you kill them with? And it was kind of like, and you're so. I mean, I'm laughing now. I'm sitting there going, dude, this kid's still pretty raw, physically and mentally. Kind of just kind of lay off. Anyway, we have dinner. You get interrogated by my friend, and we get to the point at the end of dinner, and I told you, I said, you need to get a really good ghostwriter and make sure that this story gets told, because I said this is one of the more fascinating stories that I've heard maybe in my life. And I said, I said, give me your mom's phone number. I said, I'll call your mom when we get back to
That's
Austin.
squared away. You did that too.
And
that's the first thing it made to me.
Tell your mom that you're okay, and
appreciate that.
And I said, if you're ever through Austin, come by and see me, which I say to everybody, right? I mean, I've probably said that 100 times, Morgan. to people. Say, hey man, if you're ever through Austin, come by. Right. Like you're going to come to the governor's mansion. Yeah, knock on the door. Sure you are.
Of course.
Right. And anyway, we shake hands and go our way, and life goes on. We go back to Austin.
Mojo and I deployed.
And you guys head to Iraq. It's you, Morgan, the rest of SEAL Team 5. Jake Elsey's part of that.
Yeah, Jake is there.
You guys go off, and I think, if my memory serves me correct, you guys replaced Chris Kyle, right?
And Jocko.
Team 3, Jocko.
Leif Babin, all them boys.
Yeah.
We was all out there together.
So just, looking back on it now, a just incredibly interesting historical time in the history of both the country and what was going on. And anyway, I come back and I keep doing my governor thing, and we go on about it. And what are we here? This is 07. We go into the legislative session of 07 after, because 06 was I had a campaign going on. I think that was a little bit of why Nita took me to Coronado to kind of get a little breather before the big run from September through 1st of November when the election was over with. And then we had the legislative session in 07. And then in May, right at the end of the legislative session, in the evening, call comes in from the command post. Governor, there's a young man down here who said that you told him if he was ever through Austin to come by. And he said, just let you know he's here.
Big old iron gate, man. I was like,
and I was kind of like, okay. I said, what's his name? And Marcus Luttrell. And I was kind of like, send him in. That was in May of 07. And on and off. And as you'll recall, we left the mansion in, I think, June of that year, because they were going to refurbish the mansion. Had some work that had to be done, plumbing, electrical, what have you. So it was scheduled. We were scheduled to be out. And Marcus Luttrell stayed with us until August of 09. So
that was about I handed him off to my wife. That's about the time I left.
Yep. Yeah. Thank God that Mel came along. You might still be.
I'm gonna be there forever. That was
he's the blonde guy.
Man, it was so much fun. I mean, the adventures that we get, because I didn't know where to be. I didn't have anything to do. Mojo's still in overseas all the time.
Well, so number one, you were a pretty sick kid.
Yeah, I was busted up too. So I mean, I couldn't.
You were physically and mentally pretty beat down.
Yeah. He was working on my mental game the whole time.
Well, my wife, she's an RN. She's a nurse. She kind of recognized things about you that I didn't. I had a day job and went on about my business pretty much. And here was Marcus kind of hanging out.
Let's take a second to thank our sponsors over at BattleBox. I'm one of the hardest people to shop for, especially when it comes to birthday and Christmas, because I'm a little bit picky. Most of the things that I want, I tend to just go buy. The hard part is sometimes I don't know what stuff to get because I have the things that I want and I'm not trying to spend money frivolously, but at the same time, it's nice to get a new toy every once in a while. And BattleBox is a great way to discover incredible new outdoor products every single month, stuff that you didn't even know you needed. You're going to want once you see it. My girlfriend absolutely hates shopping for me because she just has no idea what to get me. It's either way too expensive or she feels like it's something that I might already have. And so she ends up just being like, here's a gift card, here's cash. And even for myself, like I said, sometimes it's hard to shop for myself because I don't know necessarily what else to get. BattleBox is freaking crazy cool. It is your go-to monthly subscription for hand-picked outdoor, survival, and everyday carry gear. And getting the best gear for yourself not only takes time, time, but it can be incredibly expensive. That's why BattleBox brings you name brand, high quality products every single month at half the price of what they'd cost on their own. Just pick the box that works for you and get tested and vetted products that you can trust that are hand selected by an expert team of outdoor professionals, from an Aquapod emergency water kit to an Atomic Bear survival bivy, delivered right to your doorstep each month. BattleBox has shipped over 1 million boxes since 2015, and they've been featured everywhere from the New York Times to Survival's Edge. And they sent me a box, and guys, I'm gonna be a customer for life because there's not a single thing in this box that I don't love. Whether it's the Revo Journey knife that I got that is now proudly on my hip because it looks beautiful, came with a nice holster. It's now going to be a part of my overall everyday carry kit. Came with a solo stove. Solo stoves are these great little ovens that you can use for camping. Came with a little collapsible and foldable, I guess you'd call it like a barbecue pit, but you can put it in your ruck bag or your camp pack. Came with a rechargeable flashlight. It came with a carabiner that has a fire starter. It came with a water filtration system for survival. It came with a 72-hour survival kit. When I tell you there was not a thing in this box I didn't like, I promise you I mean that with every fiber in my body. I am going to be signing up and getting this for myself because I just think it's too cool. I like that there are products that I would have never known to buy or thought to buy or really even existed until I got them in this box. And who doesn't like to have a box show up at the door with their name on it and have cool toys inside, like a brand new knife? Find out why outdoor enthusiasts call BattleBox the best gear I never knew I wanted. Sign up, receive, survive. What are you guys waiting for? Don't miss another BattleBox mission. And from now until March 31st, they're going to hook you guys up with a free mystery box worth $115+ with any new subscription at trybattlebox.com/TNQ. Now that is BATTL box.com/TNQ. That is a free mystery box worth $115+ right now at trybattlebox.com/TNQ. Try BATTL box.com/TNQ. Check it out.
I had a bed up in the attic. It was it's crazy story. I just recoup up. It was so much fun. People day-to-day Texas business coming in there. I was like, I was the ghost in the attic. If somebody was coming in the house that wasn't supposed to be in there, I'd come creeping downstairs, my hair all like, what are y'all doing in here?
But because Morgan, what we did is, we moved to a house about 13 miles from downtown Austin as the mansion was being refurbished. And then, of course, if you'll recall, I think this was, I think, if my memory serves me correct, the summer of '07 is when an arsonist came in and set fire to the governor's mansion. Of course, that put us out there. I think we lived in that house for almost 5 years. Yeah. And so it was a 3-story house out at Barton Creek.
Barton Creek?
Yep. And had a 3rd floor that was finished out, but we just kind of turned it over to...
Your desk was up there.
Yes, sir. And you had a bed.
I had a bed up there.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because, Lady Perry would tell stories about that, and then you guys would have like the formal events at the mansion, and then here comes this half naked dude walking downstairs, busting into the refrigerator.
I mean, like, the refrigerator in the middle of the night.
Who is that? I don't know. It's nobody.
Dude, some people just be like,
yeah.
Don't ask.
Oh, it was awesome. The detail, man. Everybody there was the greatest experience.
I didn't know any of this too because they were keeping this from me.
Well, you're off.
I'm doing my thing. Yeah.
You're going to OCS in this period of time,
yeah, and then immediately back on deployment.
Morgan, let's talk about the first time we ever met. Obviously, Marcus comes into our lives in May of '07. You guys had just come back from your Ramadi deployment, and I guess we met at that party. At the ranch.
Coming home party.
Coming home party.
Because the whole team was there.
The whole team was out there. And you were in proximity to Huntsville for some reason. And Marcus teed it up, and you and Lady Perry got to come out and spend some time with us.
That was fun.
Yeah. I got to meet all those guys, and
that was the crew there, man.
Pretty interesting group of boys. And so Morgan, when you decided to go to OCS, what was that? Why did you decide you want to be an officer?
I
got this one.
Okay, all right. Hey, which ones Are you the oldest?
That's like right
That's
here.
what I was thinking. You're the older brother.
Oh, yeah.
Take it, younger brother.
You're right.
7 minutes.
I've been waiting my whole life to start talking about him, right? I never could because he was always still doing a deal. But we were sitting there. I was busted up, man. And before he even started getting into all that chaos too. And he's like, "Hey man, what do you think we should do? Should we go to Dev Group or should we become an officer?" I was like, we always want to go to Dev Group and stay an operator because he was a sniper. I mean, he had all the enlisted qualities. Nowhere near to cross over that line, but we weren't anticipating me getting my ass handed to me in the capacity I did. So we kind of tossed it up to fate, right? And then he's like, "Well, I can go to Dev Group, and then you can't become an officer. If I become an officer, then I can't go to Dev Group." And we were in it. So we went. There's this lady. Her name is Barbara Ford, okay, Captain Ford, and she worked for the boss. She's about this tall, right? But I mean, just a pit bull. And
Can be.
Whatever, she took a liking to us, man, and it was amazing. She's still such a wonderful lady. Love her. She's still a loving woman for it. And she's like, "Let me see your transcripts."
Talking to me.
Talking to Mojo.
I was like, "Oh, never mind."
And we're like, "Nah, we're good." And like all you SEAL officers say that, you guys are fine. You think you're harder on yourselves than you think you are. And me and Mojo are like, no. Back in them days it was completely different. We're trying to explain why it is that it was the way it was, which is a great story. But anyhow, Morgan slides her transcripts over, opens that sucker up, and she looks over the paper at me and him, man, and she's like, "Wow, you guys weren't kidding." I'm like, "No, we're not kidding, man. We're pretty serious about it." And she just started working her magic. And sure enough, man, he gets picked up for. I couldn't believe. I was so proud of you, man, when you got picked up for OCS.
It was. I always wanted to climb. We've always started at the bottom and worked our way up, and it was a fluid transition from the enlisted ranks. I was enlisted for 8 years, and just talking with my officers, my leadership, and a piece of advice of one of my OICs, Clint Berg's like, "Hey, look, if you want to affect change, if you don't like the way we're doing it, then it's time for you to man up and fill the seat. Quit yelling at the TV." And I put in my application, and so my brother was saying, like, "Oof, man, I don't know if this is looking good or not," and got selected.
That's a classic old route back during World War II, which my dad was engaged in as a tail gunner on a B-17, and they had, particularly in the I think in the Army side of things, what they call Mustangs.
Yep.
And guys that have been enlisted and then, they moved them on up into the officer ranks.
They call y'all SEALs that too, right?
A Mustang.
Do we ever
Mustangs.
There's not our own term for SEAL enlisted officer? Like Sea Lion or something
No,
cool?
no, just a Mustang.
It's a Mustang,
Mustang.
huh?
Yeah. But anyway, so you went to OCS and then
I did. So after Marks and I got back from Ramadi, I actually got accepted into OCS.
That's right.
While we were overseas.
We were overseas when we found out.
yeah.
A lot of that stuff came down. We were in the box still.
You're figuring out that's kind of the end of your, and I'm talking about you, Marcus, it's kind of the end of your military. You figure out, I think in your book, Service, you kind of address, as I recall, that while you guys are on that last deployment with SEAL Team 5, that it's kind of like,
That's kind of a big deal. They sent me back. And I had to be with him on that. That went all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Right. But then they covered down. It was like big.
There had to be.
CEO had to go to bat for us on that one all the way.
Yeah, I made it all the way.
All the way to flagpole.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me because you were frankly you were beat up physically, you were beat up mentally, and to put you back into and let's face it, the reason they did that is because of what had happened to you.
Mm-hmm. Best place for him to be was
your Navy
100%.
Cross
right there.
My body would heal. They knew that. They were like, if you're going to get his mind right, you got to send him back into where he came out of, and that's why it worked.
I want to go back to how, and I get really upset, frustrated with the government from time to time, but never have I been, this was as frustrated as I've been in a spell with the federal government. And it was, you came back, you're living with us, and you're a mess. I mean, I'm just going to be blunt here, physically and mentally. You had all the, you were addicted to opioids. You needed some really technical surgeries on your back, and you weren't even eligible for TRICARE. And I don't have any idea how they separated you without that. But that's beside the point. They did. You show up at our place, a pretty much big old bucket of problems. And
I was.
yeah,
Awesome.
Good to see nothing's changed.
Ain't much change, man. I was like, hey, Governor.
It's me, your friend.
See if you can fix this.
yeah. So I start talking to some of my. Remember that you needed that really serious spine surgery, and I call a couple of orthopedic surgeons that and they're kind of like, dude, man, I would like to help, but he ain't got no insurance and he ain't got no money, and I make a call to a neurosurgeon, and your book came out, hit #1 in May of. Oh, you remember where we were?
We're fishing.
We're fishing. We're bass fishing.
Bass fishing
over with the folks that have JB sausage.
That's right. And I remember the fishing was so good that I didn't really they were like, hey, your book went to #1. I was like, but you ain't seen the bass.
This is a 9-pound bass.
That's what he's like, hey, you promise you're not going to. I had to lay down the gauntlet. I mean, a lot happened that day, man.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, it was kind of.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Anyway, I call Dr. Jones and over here in Houston, and I say, hey, this is like in the fall, September or so, maybe in August. I can't remember the dates, but anyway, it was in after the book came out and had gone to #1. And I call this doc and I'm saying, hey, could you? I said, I ain't got no money. I can't pay for this. I said, but would you consider helping this kid out and doing this back surgery? And he had worked on Earl Campbell.
Yeah.
He had worked on Coach Royal. I mean, this guy was really good, Dr. Jones.
We are supported by Workable. Is your company or business having a tough time hiring the people you need? I can speak from experience that it is hard to find the right people for the right job. I can even say that there is a local fast food joint in the town that I live in, which the drive-through is the only part of the restaurant open right now, and it has been that way for the last year and a half because they can't keep enough people staffed. Whether it's a coffee shop or a retail or even corporate level, a lot of people can't keep up with hiring. It's a struggle. There are 46% more jobs being posted than before the pandemic, but there are 44% fewer candidates applying to each one. That's insane. There's way more jobs and way less people applying. There's a problem there, right? So you need to find the right candidates. You need to hire them fast, and that is where Workable can help. Workable accelerates every step of your hiring process from find to hire, and they're going to help you cast the widest net possible by posting your jobs to all the top job boards, more than 200 in total with just one click. So when you're out there trying to find a new employee and you post something on your Facebook page looking for the right guy and you're wondering why nobody's calling or the quality of candidates are just not right, it's probably because the net is not wide enough. Workable will help you evaluate and hire quickly with modern tools like video interviews and e-signatures, and Workable will even help you automate those repetitive tasks like scheduling interviews so you can spend your time on what's important, which is making hires and running your business. Whether you're hiring for your coffee shop or your engineering team, Workable is exactly what you need to hire the right people fast. Start hiring today with a risk-free 15-day trial. And if you hire during this trial, which many do, it won't cost you a thing. Just go to workable.com to start hiring. That's WORKABLE.com to start hiring. Workable is hiring made easy.
Right here in Houston, Texas. And he was kind of like, I'm explaining to him who you are. He went, wait a minute. He says, is this the kid that wrote the book, Lone Survivor? And I was kind of like, yep. He said, you bring him in and let me take care of him. So Stan Jones, I will always have, hold him in a special place because of his agreeing to do that initial work. While that was going on, I'm back trying to talk to the Navy to get you put back in, reevaluated, so you'll be eligible for TRICARE. And it's like, I mean, I run into the wall, hit the wall, hit the wall, hit the wall. I talked to, I can't remember who the guy was. He was kind of an interim head of the Special Warfare Center, a one-star admiral, and frankly didn't get much help. I talked to Gary Roughhead, who was, I think he was CNO, because he and Joe Weber were friends back in the day. We talked to a lot of people. And it was just, man, it was difficult for them to kind of see, this is really pretty simple. You just put this kid back in, find him, ineligible for service, and make him eligible for TRICARE so he can get the service and the help that he needs. I finally end up calling the Secretary of the Navy, former Mississippi Governor Ray Mabus. And I told him, and you got to, Obama's the president this time. He's picked Ray to be his Secretary of the Navy. And I told him, I said, look, I said, don't take this as a threat. But I said, your boss is fixing to get the hell embarrassed out of him, because this kid is now becoming very well known. And I mean, he's a legit American hero. This was after, not only the book, but then Daisy and what happened with her, and all of the, the exposure that you get with what happened to her and those crazy people that shot her. And I said, Governor, I said, this ought to be pretty simple. And to his credit, God bless him, he got the ball rolling, got you back in, got you the squared away where you were eligible for the support that you had earned, and deserved. But anyway, that was kind of the some crazy times back in 8 and 9, and then you end up getting sent to Athletes Performance, whatever it's called.
Oh yeah. So once I got online, I remember I didn't want to go. Which
I know.
Saying that now is ridiculous, but back then I didn't know what I didn't know.
Didn't know what you didn't know.
That's it. Because I just got back from there, and I'm talking about this. That was 15 years now, going 16, that they've been putting me back.
What's it called now? Axios?
Exos.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about race ready. And Doc Jones, when he put that new spine in me, I remember when I broke it, I bent it. I didn't break it again, but I bent it.
Kind of bent it.
And then, I bent it. And the doc's like, no way, you can't do that. It's impossible. I'm like, watch this. They got X-ray with that rod's bent over and going through my spine. That was awesome. And then they upgraded it, so good to go now. Stay with him.
But anyway, you went and that was that was 09, right?
Yeah.
That was in 09.
Because Mel stepped in at the end of it.
Listen, I may be wrong about this, but I always thought that one of the reasons you kind of got your act together, you've been living with us for 2 years, and it was kind of like, man, sometimes I think, 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. But when you crashed and you ended up at the same place, that was kind of God's way of tapping Marcus Luttrell on the shoulder and saying, hey dude,
that was awful.
You got to take care of your brother.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Sure.
I
was down there doing my physical therapy when that call came in, like brothers crashed in. I was like, what?
I don't remember much about any of that. I was post-amnestic for a couple of months right after the wreck, but there's a few things I do remember. I don't remember.
Hey, can you before you go into that, will you just kind of give us the just the Cliff Notes version of what you were doing, why you were out there, what that training exercise was?
So at this time, I had already graduated from OCS, and I was at SEAL Team 8, and we were doing a training evolution off the coast of Virginia, and we were doing vessel-borne search and seizure, VBSS. So it's taking down an underway vessel, just training if we had to do that overseas. And we were flying with the 160th SOAR, arguably the best rotary-wing asset the world's ever known. Army 160th. Yeah, Kentucky, right? Just boys amazing people and pilots, crew, everything. We had done a couple of daytime iterations, and we were moving into the night, and a storm had blown in, and it was rocking and rolling. And that's our pilot. We were crabbing along. We came on station. Winds were out of control. Sea state was out of control. and we dropped the rope, and as we were positioned in the helo to start sliding, all the guys, I was the officer, so I was the last one out, and the guys a few of them went down, but instead of being on station for like a couple of seconds, we were a couple of minutes because the helicopter was rising and falling with the ship because the sea state was so bad, the ship would fall away from the rope 10 to 20 feet. So the helicopter would immediately have to go down and come back up. And, you know, unfortunately, the rotors ended up striking the boat, and we crashed. We sheared the rotors off.
That's a crazy
Helicopter
story,
flipped
man.
over its side. We fell out, and the helicopter crashed onto the boat. Killed one, killed the crew chief, and catastrophic loss to the rest of us. So I broke my back in 6 places, destroyed everything from my waist down, and a substantial head injury. And when I say I was, what's up? When I say I was post amnestic, I really don't remember. I've got little.
You know how violent it is when metal stops flying. I mean,
I remember
dude,
we were
that noise, like
before
when
we would do
whoa.
that evolution, that we have emergency EPs, emergency procedures, and the pilot's like, okay, if this happens, you need to climb up to the front of the helicopter and push this lever forward to shut the bird off. And if we fall into the water, you reach up, you know, this is your egress routes if you can do it, this, that, and the other. And I remember looking out from underneath the cabin of the helicopter, being the last one out. I looked up underneath my night vision. I could see that static glow around the rotors, that beautiful blue color.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And there was no space between that and the ship's plenums, the stacks. I was like, man, these guys are. I said this in my head. I was like, man, these guys are awesome. Clank, 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 clank. I mean, and it was such a violent act. There was no. It's just you're just along for the ride. And then I landed in a seated position, roughly about 40 feet. I landed in a seated position, and I felt everything go. And I made that really dumb noise that you make when you
dude, it only happens when that's like a soul knocker.
And the only thing I could think about when I did that was like, man, I hope nobody heard me make that noise. And
that's an absolute true statement.
it is, you know, I mean, just everything. I just feel it, and I'm like, I hear it in my body, just all that stuff breaking. Anyhow,
It's like that pilot on the inside going, oh, we're good, but what's happening?
oh man, yeah, it was rough. It was bad. No, just a bad day at the office. I mean, we were really hanging it out there, which we're supposed to do. That's what we get paid
So
to
what
do.
were there 2 fatalities?
One fatality.
Yeah.
And a catastrophic loss to the rest of us.
Yeah.
I was injured the least out of everybody that was on the helicopter. Pilots were good. We had a boat team, assault team in the water. The boat teams were coming up behind us, and they were policing up bits and pieces of everything. And I was the last one they found. They thought I was actually in the water. I don't know if, I say it would have been better if we landed in the water. I think we would have rode that helicopter all the way to I don't think they ever found us.
Yeah.
It's
Y'all
just
were out?
one of those things.
Yeah.
We are supported by Navy Federal Credit Union, and we have been for several years. We are so appreciative for their support. You know, guys, managing your money can be very challenging. I've talked to friends and family, people who have struggled to kind of keep a budget, who struggle to save and invest, because there's a lot to manage when it comes to paying your bills and making sure that you have money in the accounts for certain unforeseen events and emergencies, and making sure that you're putting money into the right places for the right things. That can be really stressful. And that is where Navy Federal can help you out. Navy Federal Credit Union takes the legwork out of saving and investing. They offer multiple savings products and investing options to help you get closer to your financial goals. And you can put your money to work by automating your savings and investments so you can free back that time in your busy schedule. Plus, they offer educational resources to help guide your decisions. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/save and invest. Savings products insured by NCUA. Investment options are available through Navy Federal Investment Services and are not insured by NCUA.
But anyway, so they recover you from that accident, and then the decision's made to send you down to Florida to Athletes Performance, the name of it then, and you're still there.
I was.
Right.
I was already sitting up in bed when that phone call came in. I was like, "Where's he at?" And they were trying to tell me what had happened. Man, it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, we started evolution at night, so
Yeah.
I don't even really know. But
anyway, the point is that you guys both end up at this rehab facility.
I went
together.
down there in a body cast.
Yeah. Oh,
I need to throw a shout out to John Bardis, Secretary Bardis. Probably one of the best dudes out there. I called him. I mean, he long time ago, he's like, you ever need anything, you call me, understand? and I needed to get to him right quick, fast, in a hurry, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I sure enough, I don't know why I buzzed you because you'd already found out about it, and I was like, man, I need to get up there quick. He's like, done, and I was standing tall. I found him in the MRI. They wouldn't put him in the damn tube because he had hiccups. Like we never taken drugs before, so when they slammed him with some of that bike in the
I'm allergic to opioids.
Give him the hiccups. And he's in there with that.
Unlike your brother.
I'm sitting there. I had my body cast on too, and I was like, "It's gonna be all right, brother. I got you, man."
He's walking around like a zombie.
You know, the worst part about my injuries is I broke my coccyx and my sacrum.
Coccyx.
Yeah.
Coccyx. Did I say it right?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right. You got it right.
And I had to walk around with those little donuts.
Surfing the dunes.
Oh, but no.
So I had a body cast on.
Oh, dude.
And then I had to sit on that damn donut.
We had the best time during his recovery.
Goodness,
I ate
man.
more
glad
Krispy
they
Kreme
did.
donuts and played video
I
games.
did
It was amazing. I appreciate you taking a hit on that. We snuck him out of the hospital halfway through it. He's like, "Get me out of here. I got to go, man." And we snuck him out. And the next morning we had to sneak him back in because it was just he was really hurt.
He really needed a hospital.
Yeah, we snuck him out one night. We had dressed up, like all of us stole the lab coats and had the wheelchairs and everything. And one of the nurses actually saw us. She's like, "Do you guys ever get serious?" We're like, "This is how we're serious." No, serious. And then we got him home, and about midnight, and we were trying to get him in the shower, and dude, he was just like, he was laying on the ground. I'll never forget it. Toughest dude was laying on the ground.
So how long did it take you to recover from this to where you were back
About half a year.
operating again?
Right at a year maybe,
Yeah.
give or take.
Because
Is this-
it takes time. That's something you can't.
Well, the thing that always just amazes me about you guys is your fortitude. I mean, I think about what happened to you in 2005. In September of 2006, you deployed to Iraq again. I mean, literally, what is that? 15 months from the time you've been through that horrendous event.
I got hurt again too there.
And you are deployed. You have a catastrophic injury where you're in a full body cast, and 6 months later, in I guess the end of, the spring of 10, you're getting ready to get back and be an operator again. I mean, that's just. I think whatever it is that the DNA and the Luttrell body that you guys have the most amazing discipline and character that I've ever been around before, and I think that's that's one of the things that I think in hindsight has always drawn me to you two, is that you reflect everything that as a Texan that I look at and I go, okay,
Amen.
There's two Texans right there. You want to know what 1836 is all about, and the Alamo and everything that you think about.
My headstones just say Texas, but like separate. Does that give me you Tex my gas?
Yeah.
I get that.
I mean, anyway, it's pretty fascinating. I think most Americans, and certainly most Texans, appreciate what you guys have been all about and what you're all continue to be about. Marcus, you with your Team Never Quit, with your foundation, with the things that you're doing out there. Morgan, you can't give up show business. You're off and put your hand up one more time and said, here am I, send me to go be a United States congressman. And I tell people, I said, listen, one of the reasons I'm for you, one of the reasons I think that you are a unique person, so at this particular point in time, at a time such as this, is because what I'm seeing with our military, that they're distracted with all this woke stuff. They're distracted with all this politically correct crap that's going on up there, and they need people like you, Morgan Luttrell, who has been through hell and back multiple times, frankly, and you need to be sitting in the United States Congress, speaking from the well of the House of Representatives, calling the Secretary of Defense the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs, the men and women of the current administration who frankly have lost touch with what our United States military is really supposed to be about. And, you know, I just think it's really important, Morgan, for you to be sitting there. I just think somebody's going to have a hard time calling BS on you.
They better have a really good reason for doing it.
Bingo.
Well, we've been away. I mean, he's been away too serving. The guys that would normally step into the breach in the capacity at which you're supposed to, we've been fighting 20 years of war. Everybody overlooks these 70s and 80s babies because we have respect.
I've had a few people ask me, what makes you think your military service tees you up better than anybody else for running for Congress or being
Seriously?
a Christian? Yes or no?
Somebody would literally ask you that?
Oh, yeah,
well, let me just go on the record and say that if they're asking that without the knowledge of what you've been through, I might give them a pass. But anybody that knows your history that asks that question obviously is either ignorant or has a political agenda that is very out of the mainstream.
Yeah. I articulate it in a way. My military experience just it gives me perspective. You know, if you peel the onion back enough, and we're fighting 2 wars, multiple conflicts, just the things that we've seen and done, just the best and worst of humanity. It allows you to, I always campaign on my integrity, my character, and my humility.
Yeah.
And there's not much of that up there, and I think that's what separates me.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have life's experiences, and particularly, again, what I see occurring at the Department of Defense at this particular point in time. When I see when I see more interest in this woke concept, this politically correct concept, rather than being focused on what do we need to be doing to have the most highly trained, efficient military to keep this country free. If you're not focused on that, if you're not getting that right, then you are not serving the American people properly, in my opinion. And I think you and what you've been through, your training, your experiences, your discipline, and your character, those are the qualifications for a United States congressman. There may be somebody who's qualified because of their economic experience. There may be somebody because of different experiences they have in life. But at a time when the world is as tenuous as it is, when you got China out there, when you got North Korea out there, when you got Russia out there, when you got Iran out there, and to have someone with your qualifications, your experience, sitting on the Armed Forces Committee, for instance, asking all the right questions about here's what the NDAA needs to have in it, and here's why this needs to be funded. I mean, all of that experience that you bring to the table, I mean, no offense to anybody that's running against you in the United States Congress, but not anybody can carry your jockstrap.
Well, I mean, the people that sent us into the wars, they're still in there. So we were the ones fighting them. So we actually know why we were there and why we weren't. Not only that, when you have somebody who's pulled the line, pulled the sled and enlisted, and then crossed over to the officer, think about the capacity at which we had to go into combat in 2 different wars. People that we didn't even speak the language, and our ultimate goal was to eliminate them. In the stretch between that, you have to understand why everything's going down, why they're fighting over it, and then bypass all of that. So to actually have the capability to step back and look at what the problem is and how to defeat the problem in itself, because then it won't be a problem. I have people say all the time, like, hey, let's solve this problem. I was like, solve it what? So it'll still be a problem? Because that's what's still happening out there. What we had to do when we were in the capacity which we had to do when we went away was we had to learn how to solve all those problems when everyone else was going against us. And if you've never been in a situation, you'll always react like a child. I mean, we get big fast, we just don't grow up fast. That takes some time. And experience is experience. It teaches itself. I mean, We had to go away to learn that, and now we're back.
Yeah.
Morgan, why did you raise your hand again? Why was it the right time? Well, because for a lot of people, especially with service, they say, we should do it, or people encourage them to do it. But
Sure. No, it's a great question. It's easy to sit at home and yell at the TV, and given the current dynamics and the narrative of what our country looks like, this administration, and how we're just feeling that everywhere, from the economy to the border crisis, and just independence, and what the perspective and perception is from other countries around the globe looking back at us. This is my home. Our congressman's retiring, so it was an open seat, and not only do I love where I grew up more than anything, I love my state and I love my country. And I'm doing this for the very reason that we first and foremost, we have to have somebody represent District 8. And secondly, I'm always of the opinion that someone that can speak the language from this district would be a perfect representation in Washington, D.C. And we have to have somebody that won't back down, somebody who can stand the line. And I personally think I'm the guy for that.
I think it's really important to have the homegrown boy, if you will, the person who's from here, who understands this, who interacts with the people. One of the things that always kind of irritates the heck out of me is that, particularly in these federal races, there are people who pump a lot of money in here from outside of the state of Texas, who, quite frankly, they don't understand Texas. They don't know what make us tick. They don't understand the pride that we've got and how we do things and what have you. They may have a political agenda that's, frankly, not necessarily in Texas District 8's
best interest.
Yeah. And one thing I do know about you is that you are fiercely loyal to your family, to your God, and to your state, and in extension to your country. And that's pretty much already been answered because of the 14 plus years you spent as a member of the United States military.
I didn't know that. The people you can send your money to my state and have this town all you want. I appreciate that. But if you're going to come in here and to where we're like, my brother and I actually live and grew up, the one thing he and I do no one else does, we bleed for everybody down here. So if you're coming in here from out of state into our home, and don't talk smack, that's not going to work well for you.
And bringing your money in here and telling us how to vote,
that's not going to.
No, thank you. And I think we'll see that on March 1st. So, but anyway, listen. Thanks for being a part of this today, and more importantly, letting me be a part of this. And the Team Never Quit is it's a really interesting concept, and I don't think any two people give a better reflection of that than Morgan and Marcus Luttrell. You guys have been in the fight for a long time, figuratively and literally. And Morgan, you've decided to take it to another level, and God bless you for that. And I think America will be better off with another one of the Luttrell boys staying in the fight. And don't get confused that just because you're going to Washington, D.C., that Marcus and I are not going to still be doing our part down here to keep things stirred up in the great state of Texas.
That was the plan.
Stirred up.
That has absolutely been the plan.
Yes, sir.
We laid it out for you, so there you go.
All right. Good show, boys.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Yeah.